Jess, we're never gonna show. Hi, I'm Mrs. Crane. I'm Jess's neighbor.
Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm so sorry for your loss. But just know your grandma always spoke very highly of you. She was very special.
Thank you.
Do you think the killer's still out there?
Closed case. The way she used to describe those calls.
Jess Bradford is alive.
Nancy, you were a good detective, and I know you share a history with this woman, but obsessing over some conspiracy theory isn't going to bring your sister back.
Something's been bothering me, though, and it always has since my grandma told me. The cop said Peter did it, and for years my grandma said the same, but I think she started to have doubts.
Why didn't you pick up the attic phone when I called? We're running out of time. People are gonna come looking for the girl.
What are you saying, Nancy?
Where are the DNA results?
Jess's body was burned beyond recognition.
What about the dental records?
Nancy, you know I can't release that. But the lab confirmed it was her.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Mike. Those clowns can't confirm anything. It's shit.
Nancy.
No.
Nancy.
That happened before.
Nancy! Enough. You need to stop this. Jess Bradford is dead. And you need to accept that.
Sam?
Outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Man, it doesn't show signs of stopping.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, what's happening? What's shaking? What's doing? My name's Dave McRae. Welcome to episode 299. We're one show away, folks. One show away from the big 300. How long will we go? I don't know. There's a new year that's coming up. We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. But 299 right now. A little Dean Martin for you, and let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Tonight, what's the date today? It is Thursday, December the 12th, 2024, 7:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we're going to watch the original Black Christmas from 1974, not the 2006 remake, not the 2019 remake from Blumhouse, but the original Canadian classic from 1974, which of course was the catalyst for, my two films, It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 and It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, which of course you saw a promo for at the beginning of the show today. If you have not watched It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 and It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, I don't know what you're waiting for. 'Tis the season. Now is the time to do it. This is going to be a lot of fun because, obviously I understand that the original Black Christmas is, again, one of those niche sort of movies that people really only seem to care about this time of year. If you YouTube Black Christmas, you begin to see people doing their reviews and their think pieces and their retrospectives and all that kind of stuff because, it's a horror movie that really only seems to get love this time of year. So the Billy films will probably end up being the same sort of way because it's Black Christmas. And so, but 'tis the season. Now is the time to do it. I recommend watching the original Black Christmas, not Quismas, from 1974, and then Billy 1 and Billy 2. And I think it will be if you do that, I think you'll get sort of the complete, you don't have to do that, of course, but you'll get sort of the complete picture of what we were trying to do with our two films. And you'll be able to really see how it connects canonically to the original film. I think if you don't watch the original movie, or maybe you've never seen it, or you saw it a long time ago and you're not familiar with it, and you watch, my two films, you'll still get something out of it. But of course, everything's connected, right? And there's things, especially in chapter 2, that we talk about and allude to and point to, that I think you'll have a better appreciation for if you have seen the original film. One of those things is, at the end of chapter 2, Jess is on the telephone, right? And she is, talking to Billy on the phone, and she's saying things like, I know how she helped you. The girl in the park, the policeman, and I know about all the others as well, right? If you have never seen the original Black Christmas, or maybe you saw it once but years ago and you're not familiar with it really, those lines, the girl in the park, the policeman, would mean nothing to you. It would just seem like, exposition, something we wrote in there to just kind of fill out, oh, wow, there's lots going on. I guess he really, he killed the policeman, he killed some chick in the park. But if you watch the original Black Christmas, which is what we're about to do tonight, you realize, oh, it's that girl in the park. Oh, it's that policeman. Oh, I see oh shit. So wait a minute. Oh, so that wasn't, fuck. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of revelations that come with Billy chapter 2, that I think you will have a much more appreciation for, if you've seen the original Black Christmas. If you haven't, then it just feels like typical movie horror movie shit. You know what I mean? But no, that phone call at the end of the movie is really important in Billy 2. And what Jess is talking about there is giving you hints and ideas of what is on that USB drive, that chess piece. And it's like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? It's all connected. Nothing was, no decisions were arbitrary. We really did our homework, which is what you're supposed to do when you're doing a legacy sequel and you want to connect it canonically and you want, to tap into nostalgia, but also have everything make sense. You really got to do your homework and have a real appreciation for all the nuances and the details. So I'm excited to watch the original film with you tonight, and of course, maybe point some of those things out to you, which I think will be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you want to watch, watching all 3 movies, makes a really nice sort of trilogy. So I highly recommend that. Or you can just watch Billy 1 and 2, but for goodness sakes, don't just watch Billy 2. Watch Billy 1 and then 2, and then you get the complete picture. Because I think there's some people that have just watched 2, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, no shit. It says chapter 2. Don't you think there's a 1 somewhere? Anyway. That's what they sound like. Excited to get this underway. Black Christmas, 'tis the season. I am watching it for free off of YouTube. Not the, of course you can do this, but not the channels where people have uploaded the movie to YouTube. I'm watching it for free from YouTube Movies. I think if you go to YouTube Movies, YouTube has a bunch of movies that is from YouTube. It's from their channel, and they're for free. Well, Black Christmas is free on YouTube. It's probably free on Tubi as well. You can probably watch it free. I mean, it's free. So, not hard to find. That's where I am watching it, is on YouTube. And I am paused literally 2 seconds in, and on the screen, I have film funding in association with Vision 4 Presents. So that is where I am paused. I will give you some time to line up your copy if you're watching along with me. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Brandon Collins says it's on Peacock, Shudder, and Prime as well. There you go. Oh yeah, it's pretty easy to find. I just decided to watch it off of YouTube, but there is no director's cut. There is no extended cut. as far as I know. There is no, cut with deleted scenes. So no matter where you watch it, we should all be on the same page. Oh, shit. You know what I was going to do? I was going to put a timer up. Fuck it. I don't have time. Somebody will have to... Damn it. Keep forgetting to do that. I had one not long ago for one of the watch-alongs we did, but it kept stalling in the thing, and I meant to fucking... And things have just been so busy, and, well, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? As Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb would say, who cares? I don't know if he's watching, but he'll get what I mean. So I am, pause 2 seconds in, film funding in association with Vision 4 Presents. That's where I am, and I am ready to do this. Here we go, folks. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's do it. If this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. Of course, the rendition of Silent Night that you hear in the opening of this piece is the same Silent Night you hear in the attic at the end of It's Me, Billy, Chapter 1. Not the same, it's not just the same song, but the same version. Same version. And obviously that's, was on purpose. Andrew, a big Canadian cast, of course, as well. Obviously, being a Canadian film shot in Toronto. Art Hindle, Andrea Martin, Lynn Griffin. Oh God, who am I missing? Margot Kidder, of course, was Canadian. There's Olivia Hussey walking up. And that house is not too... I keep meaning to do this. I have to do this. I know I keep saying it. I got to get off my fucking lazy ass and do it. The next time I'm downtown, which is pretty frequently, I got to drive over to the Black Christmas house and just shoot a little video for you guys outside the Black Christmas house because it's still there. And it's in a sort of a very affluent neighborhood in the sort of just north of downtown Toronto. It's not hard to get to. I've been there before. Of course, this is one of the first movies to utilize the POV, and certainly in the horror genre. Obviously, you can go back to Peeping Tom, and I think Peeping Tom had a POV, right? I think. It's been a while. But certainly you can see, again, this is 4 years before Halloween. You can see potentially some inspiration, if not consciously, certainly subconsciously. But it's great. I mean, it's such a great... It's eerie. There's not really a score to this movie. It's just a soundscape, piano scrapes, piano strings. We utilize a lot of that more in Chapter 1 than we did in Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, we do have it. Obviously, there are some musical cues in Chapter 2 that harken back to that. But in Chapter 2, we have more of an actual score. Whereas Chapter 1, we leaned more heavily into just sort of the piano scrapes and the strings to kind of set the stage. Member chat from Sean Sheridan says, your thoughts on Black Christmas, the remakes of Black Christmas. Not a fan. The 2006 remake, I think people have warmed up to it because of the 2019 film. But I don't think either do justice to the original. Although there are people that have watched Billy 1 and Billy 2 and disagree with me. Perhaps maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think, I'm very proud of the work that we've done on both films. And I think that, when you're comparing our films, certainly to the remakes, I think I would like to think that we've done justice and honored the original film. And Art Hindle, who we were originally going to cast in Chapter 2, said that Bob Clark would have really liked what we were doing and really liked the script of Chapter 2. I believe him. I think he would have. It's too bad he's not alive today because it would have been really cool to get Bob Clark's, thoughts. Billy climbing the trellis into the attic. There's the rocking chair. It's cobwebs on it. This attic was definitely cluttered. We thought about getting a rocking horse for our film as well, but at the end we sort of decided against it because we didn't want people to think it was the same attic. We already knew we were going to be sort of fighting against that because there are still some people that watch the Billy films and think that the house is the same house. It's not, obviously. It's just same in likeness because we wanted a house in likeness. Josh McKenna sends in $9.99. Thank you, Josh. And says, Merry Black Christmas. Merry Black Christmas to you as well. I have this on DVD. I can't wait to put the Billy films on the shelf next to it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's great, Josh. Yeah. That's really cool. It's so creepy. I mean, you know, it's just the way and again, this is before, like, this is not a Steadicam. This camera is, you know, essentially strapped to this camera operator's chest. Now, this could be Burt Dunk. Burt Dunk is a Canadian camera operator, DP. I think he's done some DP work. Bruce has met him once or twice. And Burt Dunk was not the DP on the film, but I don't believe, but he was one of the camera operators. And I think when you see Billy at the beginning of the film climbing the trellis, I believe that's Burt Dunk's hands. It was strapped to the camera operator. Because sometimes, you know, in films, I mean, obviously, depending on your budget, if you're a low budget film like we were, it's very common that your DP will also be your camera operator, but that isn't always the case. Now, DPs can operate, they can op for sure, but generally when you get into the higher budget films, you know, certainly if you're in like a Star Wars movie or something, you will have a DP, but you will have also camera operators as well. But this was a low budget film, $600,000. But yeah, he strapped it to his chest and there's Lynn. What's going on, Lynn? I'll actually be seeing Lynn this Saturday. This Saturday, we're having a cast and crew screening in Toronto. We've invited a bunch of the cast and crew, and we're going to have a little Christmas party Saturday afternoon where we're going to watch both movies on a big screen and you know, have some pizza and some drinks and just, you know, have a good time. But we're doing it in the afternoon because we figured that it would just be easier for some people because of where everybody's coming from in terms of driving and all that. So it'll be fun. It will be fun. Chris Williams says, he's talking to Cody. Davey Deathray says, audio sounds good over here. Oh, somebody complaining about my audio. Blah, blah, blah. Test, test, test. Should be all right. On my end, the audio is kind of low. Oh, make sure you turn up your volume, Chester. Hello, hello, hello. Should be okay. Audio levels seem fine here. Gianna, yeah, make sure you go to the YouTube on your phone, turn it up, or your desktop. Make sure I'm all the way up. But the levels here are good. I should be coming through okay. Like I always say to people, you know, we're in the scene here. We actually mirrored this scene in It's Me, Billy, where we track. Of course, we only had 3 girls to do it, but here there's about 7 or 8 of them. I mean, you listen to what Billy's saying here, and it's pretty intense. And sure, you know, kids today will laugh at it, and you know, but like I always say, if you're going to make the decision to watch old horror movies, whether that's, you know, from the 70s or the 60s or the 50s or the 40s or, you know, whatever it is, you have to watch them within their context. This is 1974, and some of the shit that Billy is saying here was very, as they say, very blue and very like, it's nothing to us now. But in 74, to hear the C word and the P word and the, you know, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Now, that's not what was being said when they were shooting the film. Of course, this was added in afterwards. But Yeah. That was sick. Absolutely sick. Tom Hungarian, Merry Christmas, Dave, and everyone. Merry Christmas, Tom. Yes, Merry Christmas to everyone as well. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, Happy Festivus, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating. Or maybe you're not celebrating. That's okay, too. Jeez, I just dripped a ton of water all down my shirt. It's because I'm sad. Yeah, you blast son of a bitch. Spilling water all over the place. If you're just joining us here, we're almost 10 minutes into the original Black Christmas, 1974. I'm watching it for free on YouTube. You can watch it for free on Tubi, on Shudder, Prime, wherever you want to watch it. Here comes Mrs. Mack. Yes, Elvis Presley supposedly was a big fan of Black Christmas. Of course, he only died 3 years later, so I don't know how often he watched it, but apparently he was a big fan. He was a big fan. Davey says, I've got the captions on and it's shocking, but I don't want my slasher psycho killer to be polite. Well, it's true. It's true. There's Claude. This is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, actually. I've talked to Lynn about this, and I don't know if we cut away. Did we go downstairs and then come back up? I'm not sure. But very eerie when she's on the other side of the room and she hears Claude, and she's like, Claude? Who is that? Who is that? Yeah, you can see just very faintly Billy's nose. Yeah, this is such a creepy scene. The piano scrapes, you know what I mean? The scraping, the plucking. You hear the cat Claude's in there. It's very, very eerie. You know, the way it's the old film stock, the production value, it's grainy. It's eerie. Old films can be very eerie when they're lit right. And, you know, again, POV. We're using a lot of camera movement, a lot of POV. Bruce and I love to use a lot of camera movement to evoke a feeling and, you know, to really play on the cinematic language. So good. Who is that? Claude? It's like, who is that? Did she see somebody? And then all of a sudden, oh! It's a good jump scare. That would have got people. That would have got people for sure. 100%. I should, Frank. Black Christmas, One Magic Christmas, and Elf Christmas for the most depressing movie. One Magic Christmas and Elf's Christmas special are great, Frank. I don't know what you're talking about. So they originally wanted, Bob Clark originally wanted Bette Davis for the role of Mrs. Mack. I always think this shot here, when we tilt up and we see Billy's legs walk by the banister, he's in jeans. He's in blue jeans. And it always makes me think of the beginning of Friday the 13th Part 2. When the woman it was a woman who stepped off the curb into the puddle. It wasn't actually a man, but they were in jeans, right? Or in the, you know, the coveralls. Anyways, it always makes me think of that. It has a bit of that vibe. Even though this is like, you know, 7 years before, but. Yeah, I would say that she's an alcoholic. She needed to stash that in Geeked Out Turtle Fan says, Billy was a Wrangler man. He was a Wrangler man. He was a Wrangler man. Next Gen says, it might sound crazy, but it don't actually consider it a true Christmas movie. Well, I can understand that. I mean, it's a Christmas horror movie, right? And, you know, I think you can classify it as a Christmas horror movie and you know, it's not just a Christmas film, but There's the famous sweater that makes a return in Billy 2. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's oozing with Christmas spirit, but certainly, you know, there are the carolers, the carolers, excuse me. Obviously, it's the holiday season. People are, I mean, Claire is waiting, you know, she's going home for the holidays and you know, the wreath on the door and the Christmas lights. And, I mean, it's certainly, yeah, I think it's safe to classify it as a Christmas horror movie, but I can understand that, yeah, it's not oozing with Christmas cheer. Or it's not like watching, you know, Christmas, Bloody Christmas, or you know, I don't know, what other Christmas horror movies? You know, like there are other Christmas horror movies that definitely lean more into the holiday, into the lighting and into the spirit and into the, you know, all that. This is, you know, I mean, there's a Christmas tree in the background and it's certainly, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. It actually is kind of more realistic. You know, in some ways. Cure Delay, of course, of 2001: A Space Odyssey fame. Ooh, the I Love You, I Know before The Empire Strikes Back. I just thought of that. There it was. Peter said, I love you, and Jess said, I know. Ooh. Now, of course, here it was because Jess really doesn't love Peter and you know what I mean? And she's just kind of trying to get on. In The Empire Strikes Back, it was because Han Solo was being cheeky and, you know, he really did feel that way. He was just being, you know, his typical cocky, cheeky self. Completely different intentions, but just something I noticed. Now, she's got fucking alcohol in the back of the toilet. The hell is going on? The hell is going on? Brandon Collins, Die Hard is a Christmas action movie. If you say so. If you say so. I'll leave it at that. But we did the same thing. Well, actually, there's probably less in our movie, in our two films, Billy 1 and 2, there's probably a lot less of I mean, certainly you feel a bit of the Christmas spirit in 1 more than 2, but we didn't lean into it either. You know, we let you know what time of year it is and, you know, you see Christmassy things, but yeah, we just wanted to be a little more grounded. Oh, there she is. Yeah. Good job not blinking. There's the first time we hear the song. Yeah. So great. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Of course, that song returns in Billy 1. Returns in Billy 2 as well, but we change wrap his baby Agnes in to wrap baby Jess in, is what we changed it to in chapter 2, which makes sense since he's sitting right across from her. This location here that you're seeing is the University of Toronto. It is still there. University of Toronto is a world-renowned university, certainly one of the top in Canada. It is, I mean, not world-renowned like Harvard or Princeton or something like that, but certainly it's not an Ivy League university, but it is a very, you know, a top university for sure, and one of the top in Canada for sure, if not the top. But anyway, I digress. But this is the campus, this University of Toronto campus. Beautiful. The architecture is beautiful, and it still looks like that to this day. Still, you can walk over to it, walk on it. Still looks like this.
Claire Harrison? Fuck, I don't know. Claire Harrison? Pi kappa sing kappa koopa kappa kappa. Kappa 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 kappa.
Movie Chat More Part 2 says, hey guys, Merry Christmas. Dave, do you not think Claire's dad looks a little old? Should have been the granddad? No, I don't think so. I mean, how old? I mean, people looked older then. Let's see how old he was. Of course, it doesn't matter how old he actually was if he looks ancient. I don't think he looks... No, I could buy it. I could buy it. Looks like he could be in his 50s, right? And if Claire's, 20, well, then he had her when he was 30. So, I mean, it's totally doable. Let me see. How old was James Hammond when they shot this? Yeah, he was 50. He was 50 years old on the button. He was born in 1924. So in 1974, he was 50. So he's only 5 years older than me. So there you go. Davey Deathray says, that dude has rock star hair if I've ever seen it. The student, not the dad. Oh, yeah, no, he does. Of course, this is a little funny exchange here with Mrs. Mack and Claire's dad. Yeah, he does look old. But he's bald, right? He's got a mustache, receding hairline, and that'll do it for sure. That certainly doesn't help you look younger. Like as if putting your hand there. No, he has no idea what's there. He has no idea. He's like, I don't know. I guess your hand's there. I don't know what's there. Ah, yes. Chris Williams says Lynn Griffin's dad's Frank Oz. He does look a little bit like Frank Oz. You're right. Yep. You know what? Seeing Bette Davis play this role would have been pretty interesting. I could totally see Bette Davis playing this role. 100%. Bette Davis was amazing. I forget why I think she just turned it down, actually. I mean, listen, it's no secret that the only reason why Olivia Hussey did the film was because apparently she met with a psychic, and a psychic told her that she was going to be doing a horror film in Canada. So, and then along comes a horror film in Canada. And so, I mean, that's ultimately why I think she did it. And that's not to say that she didn't like the script or didn't like the part as well, but I think the motivation. Olivia's a very spiritual person, very into the spirituality and shamans and gurus and all that kind of stuff. She always has been her whole life, and so when I heard that a long time ago, I was like, oh, that doesn't surprise me. Come on, Claude, you little prick. Damn son of a bitch. Yep, that's right, Kenny. Texas Chainsaw is also 50 years old. Indeed it is. Both Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw came out the same day. Now, of course, what will probably happen for you guys in the U.S., my guess is you'll probably start to see 50-year celebration articles of Black Christmas. Maybe not. Maybe you won't. But you'll probably start to... I love that shot. That pullback. It's like a reverse crash zoom. It's really cool. It was really great. Anyway, because Black Christmas was released in the U.S. in December of 1974, like December, 20th or something like that, somewhere around there. So like within the next couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if Bloody Disgusting or Variety or somebody does something and says 50 years ago today, Black Christmas was released, but just know, oh yeah, sure, the U.S. release, but it was first released in Canada on October 11th. So the 50th anniversary date is already passed. It's already passed. But, nothing counts in the United States unless it's U.S., right? But look, I mean, there's a lot of people who don't know that. I mean, there's people that actually think, fair enough. There are people that think that because this is a Canadian movie and it was shot in Toronto, that this is supposed to take place in Canada, and it's not. It's not. It was shot in Toronto, yes. with a large Canadian cast, minus Keir Delay, John Saxon, Olivia Hussey, obviously they're American, but, like I said, Margot Kidder, Lynn Griffin, Art Hindle, Andrea Martin, all Canadian. And there's some people that think it takes place in Canada, but it doesn't. It doesn't. It's supposed to take place in the States. Where in the States? I've always speculated. I mean, they don't tell you specifically where. Obviously, the town is Bedford, and there's a Bedford in Nova Scotia here in Canada. There's a Bedford in New York. There's a Bedford in there's Bedfords all over, right? So we just thought, you know what? Maybe it's Bedford, New York. And so that's what we went with when we did It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. And that is why at the beginning, It's Me, Billy Chapter 1 and 2. But that's why at the beginning of Chapter 1, the license plate on the car is a New York plate. So it never said where specifically. So we just decided to expand the lore a bit and, tell you exactly where. Billy. I think that's the first time that she says his name. I don't know if it's the last time though. There's the name Agnes. That's another thing too that people, when they watch, I love that part. What your mother and I must know is this shot right here of Main Street and Swanwick Avenue. That's a real intersection in Toronto. This place really does exist. It used to be a police station. It's now a community center. And if you watch It's Me, Billy Chapter 2, we have the same, it's a bit different in terms of the framing, but it's the same spirit. We went down to the location and we basically got the same establishing shot of the police station. So the scene in Billy 2 with Lynn and Detective Mike Henney is supposed to take place in this same police station. But yeah, those phone calls are still to this day, the phone calls are terrifying. There's just an eerie, that mixed in with the piano scrapes and the piano, strings and the just the whole thing is just really, it's just eerie. Very, 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 very eerie. Some woman screaming, then a man wailing. It's important to note too, that those multiple voices and the overlap. I mean, we overlap them far more in Billy 1, but the different voices, between the personalities was very much there. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. It could also be because people are more familiar. Most younger people are probably more familiar with Black Xmas. And so they watch that movie and they see how Agnes is utilized in that movie. And when we introduce Agnes in our film, because there's still people, I will read reviews of Billy 1 and 2, and they don't quite go into details of how they come to the conclusion. But there's people that will say, and there were even nods to the Black Christmas 06 movie. And I'm like, what? There isn't a fucking thing in either of our movies that are nods to the Black Christmas 06 movie. So I don't know what people are seeing, but there definitely isn't. But the all it is the character of Agnes, obviously, as you know, was established in this movie. And on the telephone, of course. But the character was established as to exist. And Black Xmas went this way with it, and we just went that way with it. We just went the opposite way with it. So that's all. It wasn't bringing Agnes into It's Me, Billy was not a nod to 06. I don't know where this hockey arena is. It's in Toronto as well. It's an old arena, though. I mean, not sure where. Are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Charlie Williams says, Dave, did you use the same actor to play Billy in both chapters? We did. Yep. Brian Charles Peter. Yep. I did not play Billy. I was the voice of Billy in chapter 1 on the telephone. And I was the voice of Billy at the end of the movie when Jess gets on the phone in the study. And I did lend my voice to the dining room scene in chapter 2. But 90% of that was Brian Charles Peter. But once things began to ramp up and the personalities began to overlap each other and go crazy, my voices are in there as well to heighten it. But the physical actor with the long hair, yeah, that's Brian Charles Peter. That's really his long hair too. So yeah, he's great. He's great. I think he's going to be there on Saturday as well. Brandon Collins says, at what point did they change the name from Silent Night, Evil Night to Black Christmas? Well, it was Black Christmas, obviously was the original title. Then when they wanted to obviously sell it to the US market, Warner Brothers changed the name from Black Christmas to Silent Night, Evil Night, obviously because they didn't want people to think it was a blaxploitation film. And then it was Silent Night, Evil Night when it was released in theaters. You can still get posters with Silent Night, Evil Night on it. And then it didn't do very well. And then it was going to be released for network television in like 77, 6, somewhere around there, under the title Stranger in the House. It was a different title yet again. I think it was going to be January 77 or something, and they pulled the plug on that because there were a string of sorority house murders, and the guy that did it was caught, and of course it was Ted Bundy. And so they pulled that, didn't think it was a good idea, and then it aired later, I think in May of that year or something. But I think that was under another name, Stranger in the House. When it went, like it's always been Black Christmas here in Canada. It's never been anything else other than Black Christmas. That was the original. Well, actually, the original title of the script was Stop Me. And then, of course, became Black Christmas. It was released here in Canada in 1974 under Black Christmas. It's always been Black Christmas here to us. When it was first released in the States, it was Silent Night, Evil Night. When it went back to Black Christmas, even for the US, I would think probably late 70s, early 80s, something like that, I would imagine. Because now it's Black Christmas everywhere now. So, Happy Sanjo sends in $1.99. Thanks, Happy. Says, Brian was fantastic as Billy. He was. Yes, he was. He was terrific. He was terrific. You know, and I still get, reviews from people saying that they feel we showed too much of him. I can respect the feeling of that, but I disagree. I mean, we showed his physical body, yes, but we never showed his face. We never showed him, right? But when you're making a sequel, and you want to push the narrative forward and you want to develop the character of Billy, that's one way to, he must remain, and I'm very proud of the fact that when both chapters, when our films end, when it's all over, you still don't know who he is, where he comes from, what his motivations were, why he was doing what he was doing, what the hell was he locked up for? You still know very little. We kept the integrity of the anonymity around Billy and Agnes still intact. You still really don't know anything. You know what I mean? And that was on purpose. Yes, you did see his physical body more, but I'm very proud of the fact that we didn't show his face, because we could have done that. And if this was, who knows, a movie that we did not have full creative control over, we may have been forced to, I'm telling you right now, the audience needs to see more, you guys. I think you guys need to go back and, we need to see his face. We want to see his face. And we would have been like, no, I want to see his, I'm telling you right now, this is what the audience, we could, our hands may have been tied if we were not in control of some of that. So yes, you do see his physical body more, but you don't see him. You know what I mean? And to develop the character Billy that way allowed us to play in that sandbox and to get creative. How do we show Billy and develop his character while maintaining that integrity? It was a challenge, and it was something that was a lot of fun to do. I mean, we could have just kept him, on the phone the whole time again and just in, silhouettes, but that's already been done. It was done in this movie, and it was done very well. This is a sequel, so we want to, Anyway, I digress, but this is a great scene. And if you're just joining us, obviously, we're watching the original Black Christmas. We're nearly 35 minutes into the movie. We're at the scene here where Margot is completely inebriated, and she's having a fight with Mrs. Mack, and Claire's sister and Phil are sitting around the table trying to figure out what the hell to do. She plays drunk very well. I wonder if she was drunk. I don't know. She plays it very well. Very well. Halleck Shambach says, I don't understand those who say you showed him too much. Do they just want to see his arms and hands and no profile at all? Yes. Well, you know what? It's funny. I'm beginning to learn that, and I speak generally when I say this, but Black Christmas is a very beloved, for those that love it, really love it, right? It's a cult film. It's a niche film. It has a very protective fan base because there were no sequels, apart from Us, right? There were no sequels officially. And so it's a cult film. People feel very protective of it. And I find that when it comes to Black Christmas fans, there's no middle ground. Black Christmas fans either really love what we've done and really appreciate what we've done and tip their hats to us, or they hate what we've done. And just like, this is garbage. It's never going to be like the original. The original's still the best. These fan films don't hold a candle to the... I'm a big Black Christmas fan, and I'm not going to put up with this dog shit. Oh yeah, I've received some of those, reviews. And then there's some that are like, I'm the biggest Black Christmas fan in the world, and this was amazing. You guys did such a great job. And I've noticed that when you get to the real purists, the Black Christmas purists, it feels like it's one end of the spectrum or the other. There's very little middle ground, from what I've noticed anyway. If you're just a casual fan, maybe there's more in the middle. Maybe there's more of a spectrum, but yeah, if you're, I've noticed if you're a real hardcore fan, people get really persnickety and they get protective of this movie because they feel very, like they have ownership over it. And, I mean, listen, there's a guy that said that he loves this movie so much. He loves this movie so much that he's not going to watch It's Me, Billy. He can't bring himself to watch it. He's never watched it. He says, it looks great. I've seen the trailer. I can't watch it. I don't want it to ruin Black Christmas. And somebody said to him, well, what if it doesn't ruin Black Christmas? What if it only helps elevate it, helps you appreciate it? It's not a risk I'm willing to take. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, holy shit, really, dude? Like, really? I'm like, but hey, to each their own, right? To each their own. But yeah, it's one end of the spectrum or the other. This scene here in the park. Now, what they're looking for is a missing girl, okay? They're looking for a missing girl. And she's like, I don't know how old she is, 13, 14, something like that. This scene right here was actually John Saxon's first scene that he shot when he got to Toronto. I'm not quite sure where this is. I'm sure I could find it online and go to it, and maybe that tree is still there. I don't know. But this, was the first scene he shot when he got to Toronto. So now when you watch Billy 2 and you get to the end of the movie and you remember Jess talking about, I know how she helped you. The girl in the park, the policeman. Well, this is the girl that Jess is talking about. And Jess is talking about, I don't want to spoil it for you, but let's just say that there's more going on than just Billy. And so, yeah. So it was cool because the girl being murdered in the park right here in the middle of this movie is a little bit of a subplot. And we brought that into our film and told you what happened to the girl in the park and who killed the girl in the park, and all that. And then the policeman, there's a policeman that is seen dead at the end of this movie. And I always remember thinking to myself, how did Billy get down from the attic to kill the policeman in the car and then go back up to the attic? I'm like, how did he do that? That's some Michael Myers shit right there. And Billy's not supernatural. So I'm like, how did he do that? So then I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't Billy. Maybe it wasn't Billy. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, we had some fun with that. But it's properly motivated. Like, again, we didn't just arbitrarily think of these things. It was we connected all the dots to have it make sense for the fans. Doesn't mean that all fans are going to like what we did, but, that's art, folks. That's art. You get out there and, you do the best you can and you let the chips fall where they may. And then some people are going to rip you a new one and some people are going to say you're great. It's just the way it is. This is such a creepy scene, though. Mrs. Mack hearing Claude in the attic, and you just hear him like in the distance. You know what I mean? You just hear him faintly in the distance, and she's slowly walking up to. Again, the soundtrack in this movie is so great. Just the piano strings and all that is so good. If you're just joining us, folks, we're watching the original Black Christmas, 1974. We're 40 minutes and 20 seconds into the movie. Yeah, I love this. And of course, this movie was shot inside this home. So as you know, with movies, sometimes they will use the exterior, but they will, as an establishing shot. That's so great when we tilt up and we move in, or we push in, I should say, on Billy's hands on the hook. And if you notice, he's wearing a similar color sweater to Peter. And obviously that was done on purpose to sort of misdirect the audience into some people thinking it might be Peter. It's not Peter. This is so great. I love this moment where she sees Claire in the rocking chair right here. Her eyes widen, and then we do a crash zoom onto Claire. It's a bit of a slowed down crash zoom. It's not like a full on, they would have, done that at maybe about half speed. But it's still very eerie. Oh, there comes the hook. Oh! And up go her legs and her shoe falls off. I love it. It's so good. Very creepy. Now, this guy playing the taxi driver here, I think he was one of the producers on the movie, if I'm not mistaken. And they're like, hey, we need somebody to play this guy that shows up, the taxi driver. And instead of hiring somebody, do you want to do it? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So they probably saved, they would have saved, a day rate, whatever a day rate at that time would have been. Because that's all it is. Now he walks back to his cab, and I don't think you ever see him again. So yeah, why would you fucking hire an actor to do that? Just get Bob to do it. Yeah, it's so creepy. There's the freak out. Oh, the freak out. He's losing it, folks. He's losing it. He's losing it. He's not happy. Billy is not happy, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm gonna have to split. Peter's coming around.
Billy is not happy. Cut back. Now, Art Hindle, who plays Chris in this movie, who was also in one of my favorite horror movies of all time, the 1978 classic, which was a remake, of course, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Art Hindle still has that. He still has that jacket. He still has that jacket. He still has that jacket. Now they found her. They found the girl in the park. And I love that they don't show her either. It's just people screaming. They don't show her body, right? You don't see what it looks like. They're playing into the psychology, into that theater of the mind. I like it. I mean, I get it. It's old school. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. It's old school, but it works. It works. I can't, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't have done, or I wouldn't do something similar in a modern day horror film, Bit of trivia for you. The push-in, now we're on Olivia here. We're in a close-up, and the camera's about to push in. I think we're slowly pushing in now. Yeah, we are. This push-in on her face, as we get tighter and tighter and tighter, is the same length in seconds as the push-in on Sam in It's Me, Billy Chapter 1, when Sam's on the phone and we slowly push in. It's actually a digital zoom. I don't think we were pushing in. We didn't have the camera on a dolly, and we actually were physically moving the camera. It's zoom. Well, not a digital zoom. It's a zoom in camera. It's not like in post or anything. Anyway, I digress. I don't know. It's like maybe it's 46 seconds or something like that. It's the same amount of seconds in Chapter 1, and that was deliberate. Those were of course, the average fan's not going to pick up on that. You're not going to know that. But those are the little details, those little nuances. Those are the lengths we like to go because we really care about those things. So again, it's a mirror, right, of that moment. Next Gen says, also, I wonder if Black Christmas and Halloween could be the same universe. I think it's the only crossover that could work with Michael. I disagree, because Billy's not supernatural or he doesn't have a supernatural element at all either. Black Christmas is very much grounded. It's real world. Whereas with Halloween, there's a bit of that, you know what I mean? Just a bit of that edge. There's no edge here. So I'm going to say no. But that's me. Chris Williams says, I may be in the minority, but I actually really like the remake of When a Stranger Calls. Oh, I do too. The 2006 one? I actually like it too. The only thing I didn't like was they showed his face at the end of the movie when he's in the back of the cop car and they showed his face. I was like, they should have gone the entire film from beginning to end, opening credits to end credits, without showing his face. I think that would have worked a lot better. But I agree with you. I actually like that movie. I saw it in the theater. I actually like it. And I'll be honest with you, the original When a Stranger Calls, the first 20 minutes of that movie is really good. The middle, tends to slow things down a little bit. But, yeah. She's so adult. Tom Montgomery says, I love Black Christmas, but since I was a kid, I fucking hate A Christmas Story. My family knows better to put that shit on when I'm around. I'm more of a Christmas Vacation, Home Alone kind of guy. I am with you. I never really got into A Christmas Story in a lot of ways that people did. Maybe it's because it was on all the time. I don't know. I just never really got into it. So I agree with you. Matthew Farisi says, some modern movies do a great job capturing a vintage vibe, but sometimes you can't be a natural classic look, and this film is a prime example. Yeah, well, it's production value, right? Filmmaking is different today. Filmmaking techniques are different. Obviously, back in the day, you were shooting on 35 millimeter film. So, it depends on the film stock. So there's a look, there's the processing of the film. It's different, again, and, the way films were shot. Films were more, just in the way they were shot, they were almost more pensive and deliberate. There was, now it's just, sometimes it's too much happening all at once, depending on the film. So, yeah, but I do appreciate a movie that leans into more of the structure of the old school, like a Long Legs or a Hereditary or something like that. Those are the kind of movies I want to make, like that kind of style, that kind of look, that kind of feeling. And of course, as we know, one of the big subplots in this movie is that Jess Bradford is pregnant. And although it is not unprecedented for a woman to want to have an abortion at that time, stereotypically, this is almost like a role reversal in a lot of ways because, again, and I speak generally, it's usually the woman that wants to keep the baby and the man that wants to, again, depending on how it was conceived, of course, but it was a deliberate thing to have her. Yeah, she doesn't want to marry him. She wants to have an abortion. She doesn't want to have the baby. Peter's the one that wants to have the baby. And so, again, I speak generally, obviously. I don't want people coming back. No, it's not true. There were women back then that wanted to have abortion. Yes, of course. But generally, stereotypically, it's usually the other way around. And so, it's interesting. And John Saxon, rest in peace. He just elevates anything he's in. He just, he's got that, he's great. How's the Clark Griswold rant coming along? It's not coming. I don't have anything to rant about. So stupid, this guy. I wonder who this guy was. He's just the laughing cop. I think he was credited like that or something. I'm not sure. Brandon Collins says she doesn't love him and doesn't want to be with him. That wasn't an attitude represented in films at that time. That's true. That's right. That's right. Yeah, it was very, and obviously it was written that way to help give the character of Jess a sense of agency, a sense of control over her own autonomy and her own future, and a sense of independence and strength. And we leaned into that into Billy 2. Into Billy 1 and 2 as well. I meant. 2, T-O-O. Again, like there's when you watch that's why I think when you watch all three films, you really, really appreciate the Billy films more, I think. And certainly when you watch chapter 2, it'll help you make you appreciate one more. We obviously made the decision to have Jess keep the baby. And why did she keep the baby? It was justified for us because of her survival that night. Her and the baby both survived, and it had a profound effect on her. She lost her friends. She murdered who she thought was the killer, her ex, and she felt that which can happen. Now, certainly you can make an argument and say, well, no, I still think she would have had, the abortion. Sure. But you can also make an argument and say that maybe it affected her in a way where she didn't. And that's how Sam came to exist. Sam's not the baby inside her, of course. It's Sam's mother, but I love that line, though, when he says, God, you're talking like it's like having a wart removed. Ooh.
We're not going to abort that baby. Peter, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do.
It's true.
Jess, if you try getting an abortion... I think you better leave. If
you
try getting an abortion... I said get out.
Oh, what? What are you going to do, Peter? See, they're setting this up, right? They're setting it up to make you think, oh, maybe there's something going on. Maybe there's something going on with Peter and, But yeah, and then, of course, when we're introduced to Sam, of course, in Billy 1, she... she's been through a lot in her life. She thinks she's lost her grandmother. She's lost her mother. And she's searching subconsciously. She's searching for that same agency, that same sense of strength, which is why Emma on the front porch in chapter 1 says, you're not like her, meaning your mother. You're strong like your grandma. And of course that comes back in chapter 2. She ends up fighting back and taking, that agency and that control. And obviously through the subconscious help of her friends in her memory when you see the flashback. So, we went deep. Like there's a lot of layers in in our films that maybe the average person or that you might not pick up on or think about. if you're not familiar with the whole story. You know what I mean? But to really appreciate the Billy films, watching the Black Christmas movie, the original, I think will help that a lot because we did our homework. Now, this scene here, when the lineman calls the operator, if you listen to the number.
Hello, this is lineman Graham. It's 6 Belmont. I'm working line 559-6114.
559-6114. So when you watch Billy Chapter 1 and there's the crash zoom on the telephone in the attic, it says 519-6114, you know, whatever he said, indicating to the audience that, oh, that's the sorority house phone. That's the same phone that was in the sorority house in 1970. Holy fuck, Jess kept the phone. Because earlier in the film, Sam says that she didn't keep it, but she did. And so that's a nice Easter egg. It's the same phone. Cody Snyder says, man, Peter straight up got screwed in this movie. Yeah, he did. Things weren't going well with his piano recital. His girlfriend dumps him. He gets murdered. I mean, there's no shittier day. There's no shittier day than that, really, if you think about it. There's no shittier day than that. Alley Girl says it's crazy how these issues are still relevant to this day. It's true. It's true. Yep. It is. You definitely did your homework, Dave. Thank you, Allie. Yeah, we did. Well, you have to. I mean, if you're making a sequel and a continuation and you want to honor and respect what's come before, you have to connect it in ways that are properly motivated. They feel natural. Not everybody's going to, because, there's a few different ways that you can always go. So not everybody's going to always like the way you go. Some people will, some people won't. But like I say, we didn't just fart around. I mean, we watched the film, we studied it, we figured out, okay, what's happening here? What's this? What's the subtext here? What could we do with this? What's this angle? How do we connect these three movies? So it makes sense. And again, we're obviously a low budget indie film, right? We're too low, but there's only so much we can do and only so much we can expand on. If we had $5 or $10 million and, then that's different. Then we could do a lot of, we could do more, right? So there's only so much we can do within the confines of our budget. But I think all things considered, we at least, gave some, made something that was a nice, cool little companion piece for the original film and connects well. And connects well. Brandon Collins says, gets murdered and gets a murder rap pinned on him. It's true. It's true. Well, look at it. He's fucking hanging out outside here. He doesn't have a coat on. He's just outside freezing. Well, you are right, Phil. She is dead. If you're just joining us, we're watching the original Black Christmas 1974. We're 57 minutes and 40 seconds into the movie. This, of course, is Andrea Martin before her SCTV days. Andrea Martin, of course, played the house mother in the 2006 remake. Yes, of course. You go to bed. Go up and get some rest. Bum, 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 bum. Cody Snyder says, Keir Delay reminds me of Viggo Mortensen. Yeah, a little bit. I can understand that. Alex Shambach says, Dave, didn't you say the Black Christmas homeowner wasn't very receptive to visitors? Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's in an affluent neighborhood on a private street. It's a private residence. You have to buzz, the intercom. I think whoever owned the house maybe 20, 25 years ago, I think was a little more receptive. Whoever owns it now, not so much. But yes, we had attempted, originally the Billy 1 film was going to open the way the Black Christmas film ended. So Black Christmas ends, it's a crane shot, because they didn't have drones back then, where they're pulling out from the house, right? You're above the ground and you're pulling out from the house. You're the phone ringing. Claire's in the attic dead and you're pulling out. Well, Billy Chapter 1 was originally going to open. We were going to open. It would have been a drone shot unless we had rented a crane. Well, we probably would have done it by drone. It was going to open and mimic and mirror the same shot, but this time moving into the house. So Black Christmas ends pulling out, and Chapter 1 was going to fade in, and there's the house again. And we were going to try to get the same kind of shot and push in towards the house. That's the level of, thinking we were going. But unfortunately, we did not get permission to shoot at the house. So we had to make some adjustments. Yeah. And Sam was going to walk down the street. She was going to go to the house. That's where you were going to be introduced to Mrs. Crane. Yeah, we had to make some, rewrites, some adjustments to, obviously because of certain things we were not able to get permission to shoot, which happens, right? Obviously we had approached them professionally, and obviously we we're ready to pay them. Would probably be a day. I think it'd be a day shoot, a day shoot. So however much that would end up being, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know, what, $5,000 maybe. I have no idea. But obviously we would have paid them, and we negotiated a price, and but they were not interested. So that's okay. It happens. Forced us to, put our thinking caps on and see if we can figure out a different way to open the film. And I like the way we opened the film. We're coming up to the scene here shortly where Barb, obviously, it's the iconic death in the movie where Barb gets, Barb, gets stabbed to death with a glass unicorn. Brandon Collins says, all of this is just subconscious memories of Dave Bowman after he went through the monolith outside of Jupiter. This all happened before he became the Star Child. Yes! Yeah, this is it. And the Indiana Jones movies are just dreams that Han Solo is having while in Carbonite. It's true. Yeah, this is just Dave. It's really just Dave. That's good. That's good. That's really creepy. I love the way, because there's a POV shot there. Billy was standing in the doorway, and then the camera moves away. It's like, wow, that's really creepy. The girls didn't notice. Now we have the carolers. The kids caroling. Look at those curtains. Rock on. I'd love to have those curtains. I have pants like that. I should sound like I said I have pants like that. What I meant to say was I'd love to have pants like that. Can you imagine? Wear those pants. Tom on Gert says, Barbie getting smashed. Yep, she will. It's a great death scene, though. Again, classic, vintage, right? But it's great. I love the wreath on that door. It's all red bulbs. If you watch Billy 1, when you get to the attic and the bulbs, there is a predominant red vibe, and it's predominantly lit in a reddish glow in the attic, and that was obviously deliberate. It's not so multicolored when you get to there's some multicolored there, but we predominantly wanted to light the attic red because we really liked the red wreath. Just, red and being warning and all that kind of stuff. The red color, obviously, meaning so many different things. And it's justified, right? I mean, he walks into the room and the carolers are going on downstairs and, Jess doesn't hear it. Great music. Great music stinger there. That's really good. Oh. Agnes, it's me, Billy. That's great. So he says, Agnes, it's me, Billy. Shh, it's all right. It's all right, Agnes. Don't you tell them what we did, Agnes. There it is. That's what he says. Don't you tell them what we did, Agnes. Now, what could he be talking about, right? Well, we tell you in chapter 2 what he's talking about. We don't come out and outright tell you, but here's the death. Very classily done. Yep. And again, it's that juxtaposition, right? Of, you know, singing about the Lord and Jesus Christ, and then you have this horrific murder happening, you know, 50 feet upstairs. I mean, it's great, you know, and the slow motion, and here's the lady talking about the park.
Jean, get the children in the car. What's going on? Please, just get them into the car. Okay, kids, let's go.
Why? Because there was a girl that was murdered in the park. She says it, yeah. Well, they've already talked about it, but.
Miss, thank you. Merry Christmas. There was a little girl murdered over in the park tonight. Yes, I heard.
That's right.
Your phone's ringing.
So now when you watch Billy 2 and you watch the end of the movie, you'll know who Jess is talking about when she says that. And she tells you on the phone who it was. Not who the girl is, but who murdered her. Hello? Hello? Pardon? Who? Ah, yes. This is so great. Oh, yeah, listen to this. Listen to this. So great. Different voices, pitches. Yes. Like having a wart removed. It's coming up.
Like having a wart removed.
It's great. It's great. Love it. Yes. Love it. Love it. That's the shit right there. She's like, oh my God. That can't be, it can't be Peter. Could it? So good. So good. Brandon says, imagine getting killed by an underground wetland guy sporting a Dorothy. I don't have my glasses on. Hang on, my mic's in the way. Wetland guy sporting a Dorothy Hamilton haircut. Oh, okay. I get it now. First I was like, what? Yeah, could you imagine? Jesus. That sucks. That sucks. Next Gen says, I think it's okay to answer questions as long as you raise as many questions, interesting questions, as you answer. I agree. And it depends, right? I mean, there are some stories that you want to tell that you should answer questions with definitive answers because it's a drama, or it's a comedy, or it's a Marvel movie, or, you know, whatever the case is. When it comes to horror and the foundation of your antagonist is built on anonymity and ambiguity and mystery, you have to be very careful with how much you tell and how you tell it and when you tell it. It can be about timing, because you don't want to say something that alienates the audience. And so, again, I think we did a pretty good job of that. We did answer, there's a lot of questions that are answered, especially in Billy 2. But there's just as many mysteries that are still preserved. You know, like some people wanted to know what's on the USB drive. Well, we tell you. We don't like spoon feed it to you, but if you pay attention to what Jess is talking about and the conversation, you get a really good idea of what's on that drive and why it's so important. You might not know specifically, you know what I mean? But you also don't need to know specifically. You just need to know generally, right? And then you can think in your head, oh, fuck yeah. Wow, holy shit. But by not spilling it all out, we preserve that mystery. Because I think it's important, especially with somebody like Billy. and Agnes. That's so creepy. Yeah, well. Yeah. I think in this scene here, actually, again, folks, if you're just joining us, we're watching the original Black Christmas, 1974. We're almost an hour and 10 minutes into the movie. Yeah, the cop's still there. But is he alive? That's the real question. Is he alive? Now, if you pay close attention in the background behind Phil, you'll see some movement, like somebody's moving back there, and I think it's Billy. You'll see, I'll point it out to you in a second. Yeah. But you don't love him anymore. That's why he's upset. You don't care about him. You don't love him anymore. Who cares? Dean Renner, I'm late. But what's up, everyone? That's all right, Dean. That's all right. And you can hear, too, like, it was smart to have an actual phone call from Peter on the phone, upset and crying, because there's a little bit of a Billy-ism. Like, he's got a little bit of that. Like when Billy cries and does his go, you know, like you can, it's not hard to believe that maybe Peter and this crazy guy in the house, you know what I mean? It was smart to do that, to hear Peter on the phone and sort of, you know, allow the audience to kind of second guess. Yeah. What do you mean you don't eat meat? Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, Andrew Martin's had quite the career in comedy. Maybe it's this scene here. Is it Lieutenant Fuller or Thompson from A Nightmare on Elm Street? You got to tell him the truth. I'm pregnant. Actually, she had just had a kid before she did this movie. And she's only like, what is she here? 23? 22? Okay, now look in the background there between Barb and Jess. You see the movement? There's a shadow that's moving back and forth on the wall. Again, very subtle. They're not drawing your attention to it. They're just, if you notice it, you notice it. If you don't, you don't. And it actually took me quite a few watches to pick up on it. I love things like that. I love shit like that, where, you know what, they'll plant things in the background, you know, and if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. It's really cool. Now, having this conversation with Detective Fuller or Lieutenant Fuller on the phone, now she says, you're right, it couldn't be Peter because he was at the house when the first call came. It couldn't be Peter. Fuller's not convinced of it. And of course, by the end of the movie, Jess obviously changes her mind again because of Peter coming through the fucking basement window. He smashes the basement window as well. Like, talk about creepy shit. You know what I mean? Creepy shit. Chris Williams says, a bit of trivia. The lead actress in the 2006 remake of When a Stranger Calls was also the little girl who was attacked by the, is that compies in the opening scene of The Lost World? I mean, Lost World, Jurassic Park? Lost World? I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Long time. I gotta watch that. Ghostface says, Dave, please don't do Black Christmas 2019 watch along. It's all right. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. Yeah. those guys come by the door yet? Oh, there they are. They're just two fucking hicks. That's what they are. They're just two hicks. All right, it's almost like this scene here. Whenever I watch this scene, I almost feel like it's low budget 1970s Canadian TV. Sorry, miss. How you going on there, eh? Oh God. They don't say that, but there's a little. It just makes me feel like I'm watching the Beachcombers or something. If you don't know what the Beachcombers are, look it up. It's the McKenzie brothers. Oh God, yeah, Bob and Doug McKenzie. Jeez. That's what they didn't do. They did not do any favors. I mean, listen, Strange Brew is a really funny movie. Lynn Griffin's in that movie. Really funny movie, but it did not do us Canadians any favors for, avoiding the stereotype. It's crazy. That's right. Fuller thinks it's him. It's not. It's not at all. It's not. Oh, I love that there's alcohol on that wreath. I think were those little bottles of alcohol on that wreath? I think it was. Again, when you watch this movie, like there isn't a score to this film. It's just that piano scraping, the sound scraping, the it's so great. Now Phil's death is off screen. Oh, Phil's death is off screen. Phil's death is off screen. The girl in the park's death is off screen. The policeman's death is off screen. I mean, again, it's budget, but also style as well, right? It's a certain style. Like we could have, like with Justine's death in chapter 1 of our film, some people think that we did it the way we did it because of budget. It's like, well, no, it's because stylistically it's a creative choice. If we wanted to have a bloody, gory Justine death scene where you see, the letter opener going into her flesh and coming out in blood going all over the wall, I mean, we could have done it. We would have had to have allocated money to do that. But it's not like we were like, damn, we don't have any money. I guess we'll just have to do it this way. That's not why it was done that way. It was done that way because we wanted to play more into the psychology, right? Into the, into the psyche, into the theater of the mind, into the old school type of death scene. And it's, if I do say so myself, I think Justine's death scene in chapter 1 is actually quite intense. Like, listen right there. I can't rewind it, but you hear what sounds clear, like right here. You hear voices overlapping. The reason why I bring that up is because one of the things... Wait, hang on. It's not overlapping there, but it was overlapping earlier. One of the things that I saw criticism of for chapter 1 with the phone calls, most people love the phone calls, but one critique I saw was they didn't like how everything overlapped, or it ramped up to overlap. And I said, well, you have to remember that this is 50 years later. And so the cognitive mental decay of where Billy is 50 years later is going to be far further along than where he is here. So that overlapping is meant to be a representation of that decay, of that, oh my God, like you thought it was bad here, you think it's crazy here. wait till 50 years in the future where it starts out like you can hear the voices and then it's like, how is he doing that? How is that possible? That's on purpose, right? Here it comes. This is great. That's it. For Christ's sakes, Nash. Not Nash. That's
Lieutenant Fuller.
Oh yeah, no, it is Nash.
Yeah, Nash, what is it?
Here it is.
Phone company's on the other line, sir. They say they got a trace on this one.
Yeah, let's have it.
Wait for the
calls are
boom.
coming from number 6 Belmont Street.
For Christ's sakes,
It's
Nash,
all
you got it
timing.
wrong.
It's
That's
all
where
timing.
calls are going into.
That's where they're coming from, too, sir.
Yes! Yes!
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit is right.
Jennings?
So good. And now look at this. We're tracking along the car, right? The police car. Jennings. We come up over the side mirror, and holy shit, the cop's dead. His throat's been slashed. Holy shit. His throat's been slashed. The cop is dead. So,
Yes, sir.
wait a minute. So, Billy left the attic and went outside, killed the cop, went back in? Not according to Bruce and I. You have to watch Billy too. It's so great, though. It's so great. Phil! Bob! That's coming up. Chris Williams says, who played Billy in the 74 original Black Christmas? A couple of people did. The voice of Billy is Mancuso. His last name's Mancuso. But the physical body of Billy, the silhouette, I think Bob Clark was a silhouette at one point. Mancuso, I think, was at one point. The voices on the phone were Mancuso. I think it's Mancuso. And I think Bob Clark did a couple of the voices. It's an amalgamation of a few people. But I think it's mainly Nick. Is it Nick Mancuso? I think that's his name. It's mainly him. He said he famously stood on his head. No joke. He says, I actually put myself upside down to record a lot of the voices to, crush the thorax so I could make it sound weird and, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Here it is. The caller is in the house. Yes. There's that little, again, it's a crash zoom, but it's a slow crash zoom. It's not quite crash. It's more, we're easy. It's an e-zoom. Easy zoom. An ease in. But it's great. It's such those types of zooms are very much 1970s, sometimes early 80s as well. But obviously we have a few crash zooms in our two movies too. Again, playing into the style of the original film here, which we wanted you to feel like it was connected, right? It lives, as I always say, it lives and breathes in the same universe. If you're just joining us or watching the original 1974 Black Christmas, we're an hour and 23 minutes into the movie. Olivia Hussey plays Jess Bradford. She's screaming and yelling at the top of her lungs here, Bob! Phil, please answer me! Please answer me! There's another little crash zoom onto the fire poker. The fire poker comes back to mean something, of course, in our films as well, which is very important. There's a reason why we went back to the fire poker. Very symbolic at the end. Next Gen says, sometimes fans can forget that there's usually a reason behind everything a filmmaker does, whether they agree or not. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And obviously there's some, I'm sure there's, sometimes there's filmmakers that have no idea what's going on, like Dominic Arthurian Gerard. However, generally speaking, if you're a good filmmaker, if you care, doesn't mean you can't make a stinker, but if you care about the product you're putting out, you recognize you're a storyteller and you're telling a story. So there's creative decisions. There's reasons why you make decisions. And again, when you're doing a sequel, Bruce and I took our two films very seriously. And, you know, had to study this film and make decisions that connect, that make sense to what's happening 50 years ago. And so again, if you're not familiar with the original film, or you're just kind of watching our movies loosely, then you're not going to pick up on those nuances and those details. But they're there. Another crash zoom. Oh! Billy likes to display his dead bodies very much like Michael Myers. That was great, though, when she busts open the door. Oh, shit. Here it comes. There's the eye. There's the eye. Woo! One of the most famous shots in all of horror is that eye. You see that eye, you instantly know, I should say, it's Black Christmas. It's one of the most iconic shots in all of horror is that eye. And now Billy's chasing Jess, of course. Lynn Griffin told me one of her favorite moments in this movie, one of the scariest for her, is when Billy grabs Jess's hair. When she's about to head for the front door and Billy reaches over the banister, grabs Jess's hair and pulls her back, and she screams. Such a great moment. Great moment. Billy's, of course, now she's locked at the top of the stairs here in the basement. Billy's trying to get in, and all of a sudden it falls quiet. It's like, what the fuck's going on? It's all quiet. It's all quiet. It's all quiet. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Looking around the basement. Looking around the basement. Looking around the basement. It's a creepy basement. I like the way it's lit. I love horror movies, and you guys know this, that aren't afraid to what Bruce and I call play in the shadows, which means, you know, I like when things are lit. You know, when you're in a dark, I like when it's dark. And I'm the kind of filmmaker, and will always be the kind of filmmaker moving forward, where I'm not afraid to lose my actors or my characters in the darkness. You know, let's lose them in the darkness for a moment, and then have them pop out again. You know, make the corners really dark, crush those blacks. You know, let's not have like this backlot studio lighting. You know, let's craft the lighting, the shots in a way where, you know, it really feels like there's dark corners and things can pop out at any moment. And I really like that. And when horror movies do that, they're not afraid to play in the shadows and make things really dark. And aren't afraid to have like a character walk through the space, and then you lose them because they go into the darkness, and then they pop out again because they enter sort of, you know, in the moonlight or something. I really like that. I really, really like that. It's moody, it's atmospheric. It can be filled with tension and suspense, and crafting those shots. I love when horror movies do that. It just builds on the atmosphere and the mood. And it allows you to not see everything. You know, I don't want to see everything. I don't want to see every corner. I don't want uniform lighting. You know, I want the darks to be dark, the blacks to be black. You know, we did that in both Billy films. Like when Sam is like our 2-minute wonder, when Sam is walking down the hallway, down the staircase. I mean, it's very dark, and then she pops out. And then and where the hell did she go? And then she pops out. You know, love that. That was intentional. I mean, right now, Jess has to be thinking, what the fuck is Peter doing? Like right now, she's now gone back to being convinced that Peter is the killer. And instead of going to the front door, he fucking kicks the basement window. This does not help his case, ladies and gentlemen. This certainly does not help his case into, you know, and you know what's funny? There are still people to this day. To this day, excuse me, that think Peter might be the killer, which doesn't really make sense because he's clearly dead at the end of the movie and Billy is still very much alive. But I do know some people still think that, and I don't quite understand the logic behind it, but I can understand maybe up to the moment that he dies, and then that it's revealed that, oh wait, shit, Peter's dead, but now, oh shit, Billy's still. I can understand up to that moment, but I've seen like posts, no, I think it was Peter the whole time, and I'm like, what? How's that possible? Yeah, this is great. Now those zooms, love those push-ins. It's great. Trevor Bristow says, what's up, Dave? I actually saw the 50th anniversary re-release of Black Christmas at the movie theater last week. Amazing. And gotta say, I had a great and yet terrifying pre-little birthday celebration. Awesome, Trevor. That's so cool. It's funny. It's not being released in Toronto. I think it's playing in Vancouver, but it's not here in Toronto, which is very weird and very unfortunate. Because I would have loved to have gone to the movie theater to see it. But it's not playing in the city it was shot. That is an epic fail. An epic fail. I don't know. Love the screams too from outside when they get to the house. And I've always loved this shot. Fuller and his crew coming down the steps. You only see where you basically only see where the flashlight is pointed. I love movies like that where it's so dark, you only see where the flashlight is pointing. I love horror movies, thrillers that utilize darkness like that. Like if you go into a dark tunnel or a dark basement or a dark house and you have a flashlight on, I don't want to see the corners. I don't want to see what's behind you. Love that. And they utilize that here really well. And of course, this shot of Peter lying on Jess's lap. He's dead. We're not sure if they're both dead yet. And it's like, oh shit, she's alive. Fuck, she's alive. Now, of course, we're here at the end of the movie with Jess lying sedated in bed. And if you listen to Lieutenant Fuller, he says, I don't know. He must have made a phone call after every death. And so, there are those out there too, Black Christmas purists that don't like our two Billy films simply because they are purists and they believe that Jess Bradford died at the end of this movie. And if you do, and there definitely is circumstantial evidence to point to that because Billy did make a phone call after every death. And of course, Jess is lying in bed. We know that Billy is still in the house. We pull away from the attic. The phone begins to ring. Okay, that's cinematic language, right? That's the indicator that, okay, Jess has died. And certainly, if that's what you believe, if that's what you want to think, that's totally cool. However, it is known that Bob Clark did think about doing a direct sequel to this movie years later. And he wanted to bring back Olivia Hussey to play the house mother. And so that right there tells you that obviously even Bob Clark was, not 100%. And that's why it's left like that, even though it can allude to that, because you don't see her, because you really don't know, there is an argument to be made that, well, maybe she did survive. And of course, in Billy Chapter 2, we tell you how that all happened, with Lynn Griffin playing Claire's sister, Nancy. She explains what happened that night. Right here, we just see that Lieutenant Fuller is taking is helping to take Claire's dad to the hospital. And we see this here. And this scene, this moment is mentioned in It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. Yeah, it's good stuff. And then we just hold on this shot of Jess lying in bed as the police clear out. Of course, there is why didn't they check the attic? They didn't check the attic. No, they didn't check the attic. Why they didn't check the attic, I don't know, but they didn't. They didn't check it. I love this shot. As we're panning over, we see the sheets have been taken off the bed, but we clearly see the blood stains on the bed. I really like that a lot. This is such an eerie moment as we're crossing over the pictures in the hallway. You see the reflection of the Christmas lights in the glass of the pictures, and it's a little bit like Halloween in a way, where we're seeing where everything happened. We're seeing that bedroom, then we see the second bedroom. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of that Halloween kind of ending, just a little bit. We slowly move down the hallway. This is so eerie. And then we begin to hear Billy. You hear him. Listen. You hear the creaking, and you hear him singing. You hear that? That's great shit. That's some great stuff right there. And the last words ever said in this movie, ladies and gentlemen, are the words, "It's me, Billy." And that's why our films are called It's Me, Billy. When we were thinking of a title for the film, I said this would be a... Here it comes.
It's me, Billy.
That's it. You don't hear another word in the movie. That's it. And then, of course, we see Mrs. Mack in the attic, who's yet to be found. We rack focus to Lynn playing Claire. We pull away from the attic, and you just hear the wind. And we pull away, and there's a cross dissolve there. We pull away further. The phone will begin to ring. There'll be a police officer on the front porch, and the credits will roll. And that is, that's it. That's why we called the film It's Me, Billy. It means something. To the non-Black Christmas fan, it might sound funny. It might sound funny. Why did you call the movie It's Me, Billy? What does that even mean? Well, if you're a Black Christmas fan, you know exactly what it means. And again, it's that symmetry. It's that poetry, right? The movie ends with the very last thing that is ever said in this movie is Billy saying, "It's me, Billy." That's it. And so, again, to really appreciate our two films, you got to watch all three. You got to watch all three. And then the credits begin to roll, and the phone begins to ring. The atmosphere is top tier. Ooh, chill, says Alley Girl. Brandon Collins says, Bob Clark said the story dictates the style. In other words, he didn't believe in auteur theory. He was happy to be a journeyman craftsman. He made some great stuff. He did, yeah. I think there are auteurs. I think there are people that, look, people care about different things, right? There's like you said, there are some people that just like to be a journeyman and will take a paycheck and will have some fun and make some movies but doesn't take it too seriously. And then there are others who really like to take their time and really play, and really craft the story and the feeling. And I'm definitely one of those people. I know Bruce is as well. Which is why, hopefully one day soon we'll be able to, get our hands on a project and have some fun with it. But, I wouldn't call myself an auteur necessarily. I don't think I've done enough yet. But I'm definitely, I take it seriously. And I definitely, don't want to half-ass anything in terms of, I like to craft shit. And you can call that elevated, you can call that pretentious or snobby or whatever, but that's how I've always been. I don't want to just do something pedestrian. I want to think, I want to be challenged. I see an opportunity to be able to craft and mold and shape not only the story and the feeling and the mood and the atmosphere, but shape how an audience responds to what I'm creating. And I find that, incredibly exciting. But anyways, folks, that was the original Black Christmas from 1974, a classic in its own right. Certainly, it doesn't get the love that the other horror movies get because it usually only is cared about this time of year. But it was fun. You know, I had to watch it at least once, you know, because it's the holidays. So I thought I would jump on and watch it. Not too many people in here tonight, but that's not surprising because we are watching Black Christmas and not too many people care about Black Christmas. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you all tuning in and hanging out with me tonight. Really appreciate that. I'm gonna skedaddle now because we're almost at 2 hours here on the show, and I really appreciate it. And I will be back very soon with another episode of McRae Live. My 300th episode. My 300th episode is going to be the next episode. So that's going to be a fun one for sure. But listen, thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're watching after the fact, jump into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas. You can tell me your thoughts on the two remakes if you want, but jump into the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Have you seen Black Christmas? Do you care about it? What are your thoughts on it? Jump into the comment section and let me know. That is going to do it for it, or that's going to do it for me here on this episode. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you, of course. And I will talk to you all very, very, very soon. Have a great rest of your Thursday, folks. Alrighty. Talk to you later. Cheers.